With Ladybugs Flowers and Rustic Decor. And today we're going to be making it's like I guess like a little server, but we're going to make it like into a centerpiece. Got little handles on it. I did paint some of it a brown, a black brown. Yes, I painted it black, brown, and orange. And I'm kind of changing my mind on that. I'm not for sure exactly what color I'm going to paint it. I'm sitting here thinking I've got my ivory out, my white, which I'm not a white person like far as wanting it to be white. Um, we are going to be putting this little bird house in it too, so I'll be using, I know that them colors with that too, because I do want to kind of keep it white. Um, but I think I'm going to lighten this up just a little, not a lot, but I'm going to take my brush and I'm just dipping it in that white and ivory, not the yellow, but I did put yellow down to kind of mix with the birdhouse. So I'm just going to kind of go over some of the little designs on it to lighten it up some, and we'll probably go back and do some brown. I just didn't want it to be so dark after I got to looking at it. So here we go with our paint again. And I thought, well, I do need to put a clear coat over it to keep it from scratching because it has scratched on the bottom. So I'm just going to kind of rub this in, not wanting it to be too much. Get my handle. Kind of just take it to where it's not just all the way white or ivory. We'll touch up with some brown too. After I get it somewhat painted here. I was going after the rust look, but we can make it look rust looking with the white as well and the ivory. So we'll have this done here in a minute. I did get this little piece back in the summer at one of my friend's shop. and it's called The Nest, and it's in Moulton off Highway 157. Um, right across from where they did have, well, it wasn't they did, where Walmart is. My mind is just not very well. I have been to the hospital and have more likely ulcers, and then this is kind of nasty, but my bowels wasn't moving the way they was supposed to. So, but they've got me on medicine, and I'm supposed to go and get a scope run down in my throat to see about the ulcers. So I'm not feeling the greatest. And the reason I ended up going to the hospital was because my stomach was hurting so bad and wouldn't quit. And I have headaches real bad. And you know how you get to Googling stuff and that'll have you dead. But anyways, from the headaches, I had been taking BC powders, which I'm not taking no more. This will be the third day that I haven't took one. And I'm not drinking sodas, neither. And I drink diet, which I know they're not no better for you than probably a regular one, except you're not getting as much sugar. Getting the artificial stuff that causes dementia and all that. And that might be why I'm like, too. But, kind of always been that way. I have took BCs for years. And I know that I wasn't supposed to. But it's like it knocked my headache right then. And my neck hurts. And of course, we have chicken houses, and just straining and toting and getting done what you've got to get done in your chicken house is part of why I've got neck problems. So that makes my head hurt too. So, but anyways, besides all that, I'm just kind of weak feeling. So if I'm a little sluggish, it could be from the new medication they gave me too. It wasn't pain medication, it's just medicine to help my stomach and help my bowels to move without having to take something that over the counter that's something that they seem to think that will help. All right, we're gonna get our brown out. You know, I like my browns. We're gonna do both colors, the dark and the lighter. And what I'm gonna do is just get one of my sponges, a smaller one. I'm gonna dip it into that darker and lighter brown. And I'm just gonna kind of go back over where it still has a light look, but then we've got a darker coming out as well. And I'm sorry for the noise. I don't think you can mess it up. No matter what you do, you can just not put as much, like dabble your paint to make it to where you're not putting as much like I did right there. So I'm just kind of going back over these little designs that's on this. And as I said, we are going to make this one into like a centerpiece or just sitting on your bar, spring, summer look. And since I've got a lot right there, I'm going to take my white and just dabble back over that to lighten it up. And we can do that all over it. And it'll just be kind of mixing it to where you know you've got some dark in it or darker where it's not so light. And that's what I like better, is the darker. Not always on everything, but most of the time, yes. Just dabbling around on it. So I'm going to take my sponge again and get some spots that I never did touch. And then blend in some that I did. And we're going to have to let that side over there dry some before I can do anything else to that. Alright, and then I am just going to rub in some down at the bottom. This is where it's not shining out so much of the white. Then I'm trying to fill in some of that was darker than the other side. And that's pretty much the way we're going to leave it. Just like that. And them spots was a little darker than what I'm seeing around. I'm just taking this brush that does have some white matte other on it to kind of blend in some. So I'm just going to set this over here to the side. And next, I have already done 2 of these. And what I did was take a coffee can, and then this was like a breadcrumb can, and I painted it, and then I put tree bark on the outside of it. And I love the way that looks. So we are going to do one more can, because one of them we are going to use for our little bird house, which is not, it was a little feeder is what it was, and it didn't want to stay like it's supposed to. It's old. So we're going to get these colors here mixed up that I had put out, which is a yellow, white, and that hybrid. The rest of the house, we're not going to try to get it perfect. We're just getting it to where it has that yellow look. And we are going to paint the roof brown. So I'm going to take my darker brown, the umber brown, and do it. And we might go with some lighter brown after I'm done. All right. So we're going to take some of that lighter brown and just kind of blot it on there. Not trying to make it all like that. We're just going to weigh, but we're just going to set. That's how we're going to set it, just like that. That would be our birdhouse. So what we're going to do in the birdhouse is going on the taller one. So that's how we're going to set it, like it's sitting on a tree post. But I am going to I don't have much glue here, so maybe I got enough to go around this. What we're going to do is just take our bark, and I'm going to show you. You put your glue, hot glue, on it, and you just stick it to it. But the first thing I should have done, we're going to leave that piece stuck, is paint it to where you don't see all that silver coming through. And I did forget. So, we're going to get it painted. We're going to leave that piece on. Since we did use our glue, we're not taking it back off. And we're just going to paint around to where it's not shining out. And I got the foil foam in there to make flower arrangements in it. After we get our bark on. And this does take a minute to get done when you're painting all kind of stuff and doing, which I did go ahead and get my other two pieces with the bark. But I did want to show you what I was doing to put the bark on it. Alright, we're going to dry this real quick. Say some like right there. I just put that piece on, and right down here, well, there's the glue wanting to come out. But that way it's painted and it's not showing the silver in it. So, that's the purpose of that. So here we are. And I just went outside and picked up a bunch of bark that was laying on the ground around trees. Got plenty of them. More oak in the yard than I do anything else. But if it's not like wanting to, it's got a curve to it or whatever, you can mash on it and it will bend in with it or break or whatever. So that's no big deal. That's the reason why I said like we painted it. And another thing is you need to try to get like your end kind of even, unlike I've been doing. Like at the bottom, the top, I don't care if it's even or not. If it's sticking above. So this would be a little rustic idea to do. I'm just going to take another piece and kind of put it down sideways down there. And then I'm going to take a pretty good bit of glue to get it to have it all the way around. And that's all I'm putting on it. Some of the cans showing, that's fine. I don't care. That's the whole purpose of painting it, but that's our other one. Next, I'm not for sure about that birdhouse being that yellow, so we're going to see what we can do about that before we do. And one of them's a red and one's blue, but I'm going to make them both red. Even though this one's already red, I'm just going to make him a little brighter than what he is. So I'm just painting a brighter red on. I'm not going to paint the whole thing. Like far as his beak and around his eyes and stuff. We're just going to leave that and just making a brighter red. Because they're not a dull bird, they are bright. Get my glasses on. I can see better. I can get him painted in better. And like I said, all we're doing is making him brighter. He was already red. So we are going to take the bluebird. I know they're red birds, females are not a bright red. They're more of a brown. But what we're going to do is go over with this red on the blue, and then we're going to take a brown and go over the red. I would go ahead and mix it together, but if I want to put some more red on the male redbird, I don't want the brown in there with it. But this is the reason why we're painting this blue one, is to make her a redbird female. And I don't know who that female was. That's the inside joke. Sorry, everybody. Well, wasn't meaning to get that on its feet. It's the inside joke between me and my sister. So, which my husband knows it too. It was something that happened, and every time we hear female, that's what we think of. Our first thought. And it is hilarious. Even though these little suckers are small, it takes a minute to get them painted, that's for sure. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get this part dried as good as I can by some of this lighter brown with another brush. And kind of go over her. And then take some of the red again. My nose is running, sorry. I don't want none of that blue coming through. But maybe by the time we get her good and painted, it won't. I don't want her to look pink neither. I want her to look more like a female redbird. Alright, we're going to set her down for a minute. I think she's turned out pretty good. Just to be rubbing it out. And I'm going to paint him again. We're going to set both of them down up here to let them kind of dry on their own while I am making my flower arrangements and my things. Them in. We got some red that we got. Springtime. We got all different colors. So we're going to put in some blue. And then of course white. I like to cut some of these pink ones. They're bright. They're like neon looking, which I think they're pretty. Stick them in where you can see. We'll go ahead and stick another one over here to this side. Let me turn it around. Because I need some white. And as I said, we're just sticking in some colors. Because it is spring. And then we're going to start sticking some vine in. And what I'm going to do is on the part that it don't have vine showing, I'm just going to kind of loop it around, let that set up, and then just stick that inside. And then you can kind of just let the end set up. If you have to glue it, you can. Just to get some green in it. Okay, let's see. We are going to stick some of this greenery in it as well. And I got it at the Dollar Tree, Family Dollar. The Family Dollar has got pretty much the best like greenery you would pick up like this, and the little bead greenery that I have seen. I don't want to just put a whole patch inch of these. Right down there in the front to cover that. But otherwise I wouldn't. Go ahead and stick another. I know I've got some yellow down here somewhere. White. Never can go wrong with white. White goes with everything, as well as black, but you don't buy many black flowers. And kind of stick that in the back part, because you want your back part, if you're going to have it in the center of your table, you want your back part to look good too. And have color, not just white. Trying to find some more of the yellow. I've got so much over here beside me. And I think that will be good enough. A little spring looking arrangement. I'm going to set that over to the side for a minute. And do some on this one. We're just doing the same flowers as we had. This is a different blue. Which I think is pretty. And just stick it in. Make some bread. So and that would make our other little spring. Little flower arrangement. And we can stick in more. But there it is. I think it turned out cute. And I think I do want to tone this down. So we're going to use some white. which is not going to take the yellow away completely. It's just toning down the brightness of the yellow. Get this out of my way. I need my white. It's making a real pale yellow. I'm not going to go over the bottom of that. And wanting it to be kind of to the side. Alright, I'm going to turn it around to the side where I can see what I'm doing right here. With our little birds that we're going to set down at the bottom. They're not going to be the main attraction, but they will be in here. Kind of setting them beside each other. And getting us some of our Spanish moss to put down at the bottom. Not to cover them up, just to spread out across. We'll have to get that house more even. I'm going to put some in behind them. Right in between where that's at. And put some all the way around. I'm just setting it in there. And there is, against the wall, there is our little spring. Could be a centerpiece, sit on your counter. You want it all to be seen. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and always remember you are enough, and have a blessed night. Thank you.